Salutations. Patreon.com/Taylor Durden. $5 a month for 5 hours at least of content. Over the next... Oh, what's up, Itzy? I see you up in here. Over the next few weeks, I'll be... my pops is coming out to California, so... I don't know. He's pretty fucking laid back, though. So, I mean, I'll probably still do lives. But we're going to be gathering on October 18th. And, yeah, so, I mean, I would like to get as many people here as possible. But I would like to also do, like, an in-person podcast. That'd be cool if we could dedicate an hour to that. And, yeah, so... I guess it's kind of like a shameless plug for that, but you know, October 18th and patreon.com/Taylor Durden, man. I just been, since I brought the rates down on my consultations, you know, I've been doing more frequently, like, and I get a lot of the same shit, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's different, but a lot of people's questions and concerns are pretty similar, you know what I mean? The range isn't that crazy, you know, and so you get really good at like answering certain questions, but you know, it's always like, I don't know if I'm actually even in a fight with the person or in a fight with the person that trained them. Almost, it's almost like their body is almost like a proxy war between me and the person that like trained them. You know what I mean? And it's kind of what it is. Like if it's their big brother told them like, oh, you shouldn't do this or you should do that, or their dad or whoever. And then like me, you know, having my stances, if it conflicts with that, it's almost like I'm not even really dealing with them. It's like they're being a combatant on behalf of someone almost. And I feel like whenever I have consultations, it's like that. It's like two, you know, I don't really mind it. It's fine. You know, I think, you know, obviously we both get something out of it. We go every time we do it. I feel like whenever I do consultations, it makes me better at answering questions, and it always makes me cut the fat as far as certain ways to express things, and then I feel like it makes my communication on platforms and situations like what we're doing right now is better. So I was thinking about bringing the prices down for multiple hours, because I was talking to a guy the other night for like, or it wasn't the night, it was evening, you know what I mean? 'Cause usually the nights are for myself, but I was talking to him for a couple hours or whatever, and I was like, man, you know, I can just get going with people. So I was thinking about maybe for multiple hours. It's only $40 an hour now. I was thinking about maybe even bringing it down for multiple hours, but just to keep some rapport with some people, and just to keep my steel sharp. But I feel like a lot of times, you know, when you're dealing with people in that situation, that capacity, people are, again, they're kind of bringing how they were raised to the table, and the people that raised them to the table, people that guided them or didn't, a lack of guidance, you know, a lot of cases. But and so a lot of times people come to you in ways it's like the same as if you're in a car with a 2-year-old and they're just like, why is this? Why is that? Can you tell me this? Can you say that? Why is this? Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Da, da, da. And it's like, you got to have a prompt answer. You're almost getting treated like AI. And I don't mind it. Again, it's like, I like to be as sharp as possible, but it does give me a chance to kind of see where people are at with certain things. Like, because I meet people all the time through this process, and people will be like, I just woke up in 2020 or 2021 or 2019, and I'm just like, damn, what was you doing this whole time? And I'd be like, man, and I always be looking at like, what did life or the creator or whatever create me? Like, well, you gonna be so exposed in life, in a good way and a bad way. You're going to be a very exposed individual, to where people are going to, I don't know if they necessarily need me, but they utilize me to help themselves. And I feel like it's funny, like, I'm all the time, like, man. So life was like, look, you're gonna basically be born awake, almost. You're gonna be born pretty informed, just from sheer exposure, just being out and just being Esposito, just being exposed. And because I'm just like, man, I always try to empathize, I guess, like, where are people actually at, because we're all kind of on a relative, the same path, kind of relatively speaking, the inward path. And I feel like a lot of times I came to certain conclusions or certain realizations early, because I came from a certain deficit and a certain level of sickness. So it was like mandatory that I would have to do that early. And so it's kind of the same, where some people might not be as degraded and as exposed. They might have learned late. So, like, we're in the same boat. We're not really a step back or ahead either way. We're all in the same radius. That's how we can even communicate, I guess. I mean, some people, though, at the same time have, damaged themselves significantly with things like the shot, stuff like that. But I was talking to this guy, and a lot of times people want me to convince them about breath work. And I'm like, man, it's not. I feel like if you're asking questions about it, you kind of already want to do it. You kind of already, your body's like needing to do it. Your nervous system's suffering, and like, you just need to give it a little nudge and see the benefits of it, so that you can find more will to keep going and keep doing it. And like, a lot of times people, I think, just like the way things are geared in the so-called society or so-called civilization that we're living in, it's like, if I do something, it has to give me something, like a monetary investment. Like, if I give it this many hours, or if I give it this much capital, then I should get this much back from it, or it's not worth it, because I'm monetizing everything. Everything, my thoughts is monetized. Everything, every breath is monetized. And so a lot of times, like, people want to be like, all right, so if I do this breath work, then what am I going to get out of it? You know what I mean? And if you tell people, like, yeah, you're just going to get sanity and balance and equilibrium with your environment. And a lot of times people be like, well, fuck that. You know what I mean? They don't understand. I don't think they really care to know how important that is, And, a lot of times I think people, same thing like when I wanted to go vegan or be vegan and, eat only plants, what have you. I was like, oh, this is going to get me ahead. This is going to make me heal faster. This is going to make me have better cognition, so that I could be a better athlete, But it's like, I'm trying to do the right thing the wrong way, so it ends up being, we're all in the same boat. The people doing the wrong thing, that are oblivious, and they're doing the wrong thing the right way, the best ways that they possibly can, are really not any different from me doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. So we're all in the same boat, It's not really much of a difference. So like I experienced that for myself, and a lot of times people are very like critical, and like, again, they treat me like Google. So they're like, why would I do breath work? What am I going to get out of breath work? What am I going to get from it? Like, the same way as, like, if I invest in crypto, how much is it going to appreciate? Am I going to be able to cash out now? Am I going to be able to cash out a little bit every week, or what? And it's like, the monetary way of thinking is crazy, man. But again, I mean, I don't know, man. When it comes to money, I get why money is there. I get why, I mean, I think Lucius Aurelian put it in a really good way. He was like, there's no communist society that didn't have money, and there's no so-called capitalist society that didn't have some sort of redistribution of wealth programs. So it's more of a spectrum than it is an absolute ideology. It's never ever going to reach a full pure form. It's just a spectrum that leans in different ways, and you're never really gonna. The concepts kind of don't exist. They're not really reality, So, I get that. I get the money focus and the monetary focus and the scarcity mindset that comes with the state of being that we're in, and I just I'm always doing my best to communicate this the benefits of the lifestyle, or the way of being, actually being that is really important, and it's very basic. And I just think that a lot of basic things are going to get lost in an environment where people look at complexity as value or greater than. The complex is all still rooted in the basic. That's the foundation for the complex. So I think people always want to look at it like, so I'm gonna get a proper breath. I'm gonna get clarity for what? What am I gonna do with that clarity? Am I gonna get my millions with this clarity? You know what I'm saying? It's not. They don't look at it. So I'm gonna stabilize my energy. Is that stability gonna give me millions? And you're just like, yo, bro. I mean, whatever you get is you had to give equal to get that. And if you didn't, then you're gonna pay later. So I mean, I'm just sitting there explaining it to the guy. I'm like, hey man, breathwork doesn't really give you energy. You know what I mean? It just maintains your balance. It maintains your energy, the flow of your energy, and we're just having this ongoing conversation about the breath, because it's like everybody's looking for a profit, and I'm just like, yo. When have you given one breath and gotten when have you exhaled once and got 2 inhales out of it that was complete as that? You know what I mean? You're only going to be able to inhale as much as you exhaled. If you don't exhale fully, you don't let go fully, you're not going to be able to inhale fully. So you're never really profiting. And this is the basis of existence, is the breath. There's no presence without it. You can't breathe tomorrow. You can't breathe yesterday. Presence and breath are synonymous. You can only breathe right now. It's not like you can get let me get some. I'm gonna get some more now on my now. Pour some now on top of that now. I want some profit on top of my now. Make it double now. Triple up that now. You know what I mean? I'm trying to stack this now right now. And because the guy was asking me about trust, basically, and I could see why people don't want to go into something and give themselves to something. Ultimately, you don't want to give yourself to something that you're not going to get your whole self back or more. In that respect, that's where you profit. You give yourself, or how much of yourself that you do know or are aware of, to something, a process of creation of some sort, of learning of some sort. And then you get back more of yourself. It's not that you've created more of yourself. It's that you've reduced the lie or the perception or veil or distraction more to where the expression of self can now come through stronger. It's not that there's any more self. It's not like can you really even quantify something intangible like that? It's just getting the clutter out of the way so that the intangible can express itself through the tangible more clearly. So I'm just talking to the guy and I'm just explaining to him look, man, you're doing breath work so that you can balance your energy and also harmonize with your environment. It's not like you do breath work at 3 a.m. It's going to balance your hormones. It's going to regulate your endocrine system to where now you can dream better. It's bringing you back to homeostasis and helping you restore your endocrine system to where you can now fuse with the moment and not be disjointed from it. So yeah, some breath work is going to bring you to bed. Some breath work is going to bring your energy up. Some breath work, it's based on what actually is the state of being right now. You know, it's not like you're getting more energy. You're just matching it. You know what I mean? Like if it's 10 a.m. and the sun is rising and you're doing breath work, your energy is going more into alignment with, you know, the state of affairs around you. You're doing breath work at 3 a.m. It's a more parasympathetic, more tranquil time. I mean, it could always be tranquil. I mean, I don't like to use the word tranquil. It's like tranquilizer, but it's a more calm time, more slow moving time, and you're merging with that, with the present. The breath is now being aligned with the universal breath or presence. So you're not separated from the moment. Your whole body is now being enmeshed in the moment. As opposed to like if you're on drugs, say if you smoke weed at 10 a.m. Now you're releasing melatonin that you would have been needing at 10 p.m. So now you're putting your body in a sedated state and pressing that melatonin button and going into the parasympathetic nervous system out of order. So now when it comes 10 p.m., now you like, man, I can't sleep. I need to smoke weed. And you're like, no, you just need to do some breath work, regulate your endocrine system, so that you can establish your melatonin levels to where you can go to bed naturally with the natural circumstance, And too many times I feel like people, myself included, we get away from the moment because we're just not taking the breath right now. And we're just getting away from the breath throughout the day. So it'd be like, to eat or not to eat, to finish this whole meal or not finish this whole meal. Usually if you take the breath, like the breath is going to make what is necessary obvious. Where it's like, okay, all right, I've had enough. I'm done. Or, I could have a couple more bites or whatever. The breath makes it obvious, like where your capacity is, because it fills all the gaps. Any gap in the system is just a lack of breath, lack of circulation, and the breath is what circulates. People say that. I've heard a bunch of things, they call the heart a chestahedron, and they say like the blood pumps the heart. The heart doesn't pump the blood, but it's the breath that pumps the blood that pumps the heart. So, it's more just about just being completely present. It's not like one time I had a friend from Portugal, right? He lived a pretty serene life living in Portugal. And I was like, what type of, I was talking about different types of immortality, whether it be like infinite incarnation or eternal, like a soul's state of immortality or a spirit's body's immortality. And he was like, I'm into just plain old present, just being present. That's where my immortality is. That's where I experience it. And this is like 7-8 years ago. And I was just like, because we just sitting out there fucking surfing in Portugal, you know what I mean? And I was just like, yeah, you're right, man. Like, it is just basic, man. It's always more basic than you make it. Like, again, like focusing on the residual effects of consciousness just takes you away from actual consciousness. Like focusing on my thoughts or my descriptions of it, like, I think, a lot of people get that, some women get that, I think, more when they're like, you don't have to think about what you're feeling, you just have to feel it. You know what I mean? I think it's just about not getting caught up in the description of it. Like the narrator is going to keep going no matter what. Like you're going to describe everything that you're experiencing. Like it's just a residual effect. It's like a closed caption that's just happening forever. No matter what, you're going to have some sort of translation. Since you know language, you're going to translate whatever you're experiencing into language at some level. Like, you can look at it as like it's retroactively happening because you're remembering life as it happened. So it's like we're just experiencing memories and we're already ahead of where we are, and we're just describing everything that we've remembered, or you know what I mean, or you can look at it like it's already been experienced and remembered, or experienced through dreams, and we're just remembering it now and putting words to it, you know, that the body can understand. But it's, however you look at it, that's all residual experience. The thoughts about the experience are the residual. That's a residual experience. It's not the actual experience, like the core of it itself. So like I think that the more that you expect, the further you're going to get away from the breath, you know? You're trying to profit off of something that, you know, it's a complete exchange. There's no profiting off of that. It's like it's literally like trying to sell your exhale, you know what I mean? Or buy your exhale with your inhale or something. Like, you're never going to make a profit, you know? And all you ultimately have to give is your breath, is your spirit, your energy to something. So whatever you give to, you're using your breath as your main mechanism or vehicle to give with or through. And so you're not ever going to profit off anything. You're making exchanges. And if your exchange makes yourself more obvious and your position and your purpose more obvious, then that was, you could call that a profitable experience. You know what I mean? You're not really gaining or losing anything other than experience and knowledge of self. So everything that you indulge in or engage in, you should be gearing it towards, that. And so, again, we was just talking about that shit. You know, he's just scared to give himself to something, like give his time and his energy, himself to breath or whatever, to realizing his breath. And I'm like, all right, man, I get it. And I'm not going to try and convince you. You know, I'm not going to waste either of our time doing that. Especially if you're paying for the time. I'm not going to waste your time trying to convince you. But that's what, that was the conversation where it went. It was like, this is what trust is. And trust is pretty much exhaling and fully giving that exhale and not having any expectation about the inhale coming. You know, it's like just like selfless giving, like one hand wash the other, both wash the face. It's like you're giving to something selflessly and not expecting anything in return, and that's what makes it true giving. It's not. Everything else is transactional in a conditional way, and it's not really true giving. So you don't really experience your true self from that process. And so, I'm just telling the guy, like, man, in order to get good at, it's all the same. There's really no separation from getting good at giving and getting good at receiving. Like, in order to fully receive the breath, you have to humble yourself enough to receive it. You have to really position your body in whatever way it takes to get that breath in you. And that, for a lot of times, requires detoxing for a lot of people, and then also just a loose belly, not having that clench and that tension in your belly, so that you can fully receive the breath, so that you can fully exhale, and then you have a full exchange with life, and then you are more cognizant of how you can give to life and how you can share with others, and then life now is putting you in a greater position to receive as a result of that. And the process just continues and repeats, and the stakes just get higher, and things just get more and more important as you realize how precious you are and how precious the moment is. And I just found myself, because I don't want to be like a lobbyist for the breath, but I want to be honest with people. I don't want them to think like, yeah, you're going to start doing breath work and like, yeah, you're gonna become me, or have my life experiences, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're just gonna be more yourself, and you're gonna get what you deserve because you would be more in your own signature. You know, when you're in your correct breathing patterns from sympathetic to parasympathetic, and it's not like it's anything like glitzy about that. You're just gonna be more yourself, and so yeah, it's I think for a while there, I didn't really know all the benefits. I wasn't appreciating the benefits, I guess I could say. The basic benefits of just sanity and calm and, clarity. And that's really it. But, on another level, proper digestion, healthy endocrine and nervous systems, so my hormonal flow is better. More rapid healing time because you basically become a hyperbaric chamber. So, like, I was taking a lot of that for granted, better sex life, better sexual experience. I was taking a lot of that sexual stamina. All of that, I was just like looking at that more so like, oh, now I have an advantage and I'm going to use my advantage instead of just being grateful that I can more fully experience myself. So that allows me to share myself. And then also making me have more patience, more virtue, to where I can be more honest with myself and actually wait for the correct time to connect with people, to have sex, to indulge in food or indulge in travel or indulge in anything sensual or sensual of the senses. So like I took all that for granted. So I think it kind of turned me into like a salesman where I was like, look what the breath can do for you. You can fuck these bitches and you could travel and get money. And like, you probably can do that off of the breath. You know what I mean? But if you are a kingpin or a rapper or something, you can do that. And it's still, everything's off the breath. It's off your spirit regardless. So it's like, again, it's like no different than me doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. I'm still no different or no better than who I was when I was doing the wrong things as best as I could. So or anybody else that's doing it, like that, taking that approach to life. So I'm like, really discrediting the power of the breath and the practice and what it can do for you, because I'm not really appreciating the basic benefits, and I'm taking them for granted, and I'm misusing that. I'm misusing my sexuality. I was misusing the money that I was getting. I was misusing, not totally, but I could have been a lot better about it, And so it is a discrediting ultimately. Yeah, losing money is a discrediting in a literal sense, or spending money the wrong way is discrediting. Your credits are being, dispersed and squandered. So like you put them in unconscious channels so that they come back unconsciously, or they might not come back for a long time. So like, the more conscious you are of the breath, the more things come back more directly. You give to something, you watch it bloom, and then watch it give back to you, and then the volleyball process of that continues. It's not like there's any real mystery to that. You see what you're giving. If you're not really breathing correctly, then and you're trying to or if you're doing something that drives your breath shallow and drives it down and it drives you to ignore it, it's again, it becomes obvious that this is the wrong thing for your design. Or or even just sometimes some things are for your process, for whatever phase you in your process. But the breath is the compass. So, I was just abusing it. I was trying to create without the creator. You know what I mean? I wanted the spirit. I wanted to use it the way I wanted to use it. And I basically usurped myself by like bypassing in different ways, distracting with sex or weed or different things. And food. And it would keep my breath in a certain place where I would like treat it like a caged animal. You know what I mean? Where I'll be like, I'm using it like a weapon, and dominating women, but not women that it's like I have to be with a woman that I don't really respect to dominate her anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean it. I mean the domination in a more nefarious way than the actual like dominion, like being a Baal, but being a husband way. You know what I mean? Husband's probably not the best word. I mean, because like if a shepherd is a husband of sheep, that's animal husbandry. It's the definition of that. So, but you could call it a groom, and I don't know. A lot of people don't like to hear the word groom or being groomed either. But yeah, so I was bypassing the severity of what I was doing, and also the simple benefits of the breath. So I was discrediting it, and I deserve what I got for that. And like, so the guy he was just like, how would you define trust and da 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 da? And I'm just like, man, if you are aware of your will, like. A lack of will is an abundance of mistrust, basically. It's not even like there's distrust. It's just that there's a lack of realization of will. It's not, they're like, so doubt is manifesting because the will is not realized. Where there would be will, now distrust and addiction is there now. You know what I mean? And that's, I posted the other day, like addiction is doubt. It's a lack of trust. You're not trusting the process, your own physical processes that you're trying to afford. Like weed, I think is a good example because people use it all fucking time. It's really not a serious thing. But it's like you're gonna experience the parasympathetic nervous system and calm and quietness and stillness. You're gonna experience that. Naturally, you don't need to force that on. You have a lack of trust that that's coming, so you're forcing it, and you're scared to go through the process, whatever process is between whatever you're going through now and that stillness or that calm, that manufactured calm that mimics the actual calm. So you know what I mean, and the withdrawal from it too. People don't want to go through that. So, I mean, that's that's kind of what addiction is. You have no trust for the processes of your own body, but also you have no trust for the fact that there's a creator and there will be ramifications for your actions. When you deplete yourself and jump out, break rank basically and jump out of line hormonally like that with chemicals and don't respect the rhythms of your body and of life, you basically, I don't trust that there's order and ramification and law because I don't see it. There's not like some sky daddy telling me like, look, law number 3, thou shalt not have bad food combinations and smoke weed. Like, you don't have it, like, it's not visually seen that way. You see it in other ways. If you have inner vision and just see things objectively, you see the damage things do. So it's visible, don't get me wrong, but people aren't seeing, they're just looking. So like, it's that's kind of the basis of all the doubt and all the distrust in other people. People like doubt the fact that there is preordained, like there's an ordained means order. So there's a preordained set of events that are going to unfold from womb to tomb that you're supposed to take part in, that you're supposed to play your position in and be yourself in. And to ignore that and indulge in self-harm and addiction, repetitive processes of chemical distraction, that is pretty much doubting that there is a order. So you're ultimately doubting that there's a creator of order. Because you're like, well, there won't be no ramifications for this. It's like you're throwing regard out the window by doing that. And the only way you can do that is if you are doubtful of yourself, and then, being, by virtue of that, you're doubtful of the originator or the creator, the producer of life itself. So, because there's not enough will realized or manifested within you for you to recognize the overall will of life, or where will, the source of will. So being disjointed or separated in that way, there's really, the only thing that can fill those gaps is doubt. There's nothing else. That'll just permeate through all those gaps. It's not like virtue is going to come out of that. The more will is there, the more virtue will permeate. I thought I heard a mountain lion. Yeah, you heard that too, boy? Ooh. I can't tell. It might be a mountain lion. Yeah, you let him know, boy. That's pretty close, bro. That's why you gotta stay strapped out here. Just like we in these streets. It's about that time of year, too. We start hearing, I don't know if y'all heard it. Oh, it's going away now. The cry's further away. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a mountain lion. I don't fuck with them, bro. I don't fuck with no mountain lions. Anything with lion in the name. How do you fuck with that? Yeah, good boy. Way to let him know. My dog's like, am I barking at nothing, or is it nothing because I'm barking? You know what I mean? That's his motto. But, yeah, he heard that. I heard that bitch first, though. That's how you know I've been out here long enough. I am Tarzan. Out here with the lions. How you living on your block? Mine's is hot. How you living? 33 breaths. But yeah, man. I forgot what I was saying, because ultimately when I do hear them bitches, it's like when you're driving and you see the police behind you, and you might not even be doing nothing wrong, and you be like, oh shit, right now every problem I had in life right now is gone because I'm just focused on these motherfuckers. So, yeah, man, I'm writing here and there, man. I've been busy, but with manual labor, I gotta build a bunch of shit between now and October 18th that I want to get done. Because, like I said, having a gathering on the 18th, and I was about to call it off, but then a bunch of people RSVP'd, and I was like, all right, cool, all right, bet. I was going to be like, fuck it. There's not enough people, I don't waste people's time. But then a bunch of people RSVP'd, and I was like, all right, then I guess we doing this thing. And it rained a bunch of times so far this year, uncharacteristically so. Maybe we're getting dew early this year. Usually dew isn't around this early. And so we might be able to have a bonfire. Usually I don't fuck with it this time, until November. But October 18th might be late enough this year. It's a different kind of year, man. I've never seen a year like this in my life up here in almost 15 years. But yeah. It's just breath work and chill, man. It's out here on the ranch. October 18th. Let me check these messages. My thoughts on breatharianism. I mean, I think you got to complete a lot of things before you can really do it. Or you're going to have to live a different kind of life on the way. Like, I think ultimately, like, it's not to be redundant, I've talked about this a lot. Breatharianism is autotrophy, being autotrophic, producing your own food. I think that you can't really skip steps, like me and Farrell was just talking about, like, sublimation and deposition, like going from when an element goes from a solid to a gas and just skips the liquid phase, or goes from a gas to a solid and just skips the liquid phase. I think when you skip phases, like, it's it's almost like a gap in your learning process and your process of interfacing with your will. So I think that, like, if you're trying to shop for fucking fruits and shit like that and go from that state to breatharian, I think it'll just be brutal for you if you ever was. I don't think you're even really able to pull it off. I think you'll always be bouncing back and forth. You'll never really can just continue on that route because you're skipping a step. You were supposed to be producing your own food before. So you would shop for healthy foods. Then you would start producing your own healthy foods. Then you would exclusively only eat what you produce or what people produce, or shop locally and stuff like that, and only eat seasonally. And then you would, at that point, then you're just getting more nutrient dense foods in general anyway, and so you would be eating less. And then you're going into water fasting and toggling back and forth, and then you're doing dry till 4, dry fasting, dry every other day. And then, longer extended periods of that. And so, like, I don't think you can skip any steps in that process. And I think, like, some people could go the route of, like, just learning how to forage and fast. Some people are going to go that permaculture and fast route. And then, but trying to go from, like, the plantation of, like, the supermarket into breatharianism, I think you're skipping way too many learning processes in that. You know what I mean? There's going to be tests down the road that you will probably fail because of the steps skipped. Like, and I think just because you'll be more unfulfilled. Ultimately, I think you need to do certain things. Like, first of all, like, it's just like the vaccine logic. Like, you get exposed to something and now your body knows how to fight it, right? I think you need to be exposed to all different ranges of the light spectrum as far as food. So be it music, different qualities of water, different qualities of fruits, different qualities of everything, legumes and vegetation. And then you're essentially transmuting that, like, through recall. You're remembering that when you're doing breath work or through your dreams, and you're nourishing yourself alchemically that way. Because you're so present and you're so light. Your body becomes so light that the sheer memory of a grape is not much different than a grape. It's just like how Farrell used to make the argument, like, all the time, like, you haven't had a Pop-Tart in years, Taylor, but you still remember how it tastes and the texture, and you can remember the feeling of it, like the whole emotional feeling of it. And he's like, yeah, you're recreating the red 40, the high fructose corn syrup, mentally as you go through this process. Your body, the same way as, like, if you think about a stressful situation as you've been in, your palms start to sweat, your heart starts to race. It's the same exact thing, but you're doing it with food. So if you're doing, you're channeling or transmuting that experience or whatever, and recreating those chemicals, you're nourishing the body that way. So you would need those experiences, be it coconut water or green juice or what have you, fresh distilled water, lemon water, whatever it is. Like, I think that you should have the full light spectrum of nourishment, in all dimensions. And then experience your physical life, before you let go of it. I don't think you should take it for granted. Like, you should experience your 3D life to the fullest. You should build your own house. You should fix your own car or build your own car, or build a car with someone else. You should just to experience your brain going through them processes, so because you're interfacing with your own design and your own will, your own energy through those processes, and your breath obviously is going to be the mechanism for processing. The will experiences itself through challenges. It's basically like the language of the will. Like, the will is like, I need a challenge so that I can talk to myself. So it's like its own dialogue or monologue, a challenge. So I think that you have hands and feet, you have limbs for a reason, and hips, and you should use it while you have it to the fullest in a constructive way, and so I think as far as breatharianism is concerned, like, if you were to build your house and, you have built a garden, you did gardening for years, you grow your own food, you haven't even eaten food from the plantation or the supermarket for so long, and you're not even living that life like that no more, and then you get into extended fasts and dry fasts and everything, then I feel like you'd be like, look, I lived my life, maybe you had some kids and, you raised them, and you reach certain levels of completion where you're just like, what do I need to eat anymore for? I don't need these calories to build a house. My house, I built it the right way. It's going to last longer than, I'll pass it down to someone. I'll die before this house breaks. So I think that level of like contentment will automatically cause you to need less, because you have more. You have more experiences. You've experienced yourself more. And I think some other dogs hear that. Heard the mountain lion now. But yeah, so yeah, you go through those experiences, and it's like, I think at that point you live the real. It's like a fruit becoming ripe. It's you're ready for whatever. You're prepared for whatever. You're prepared to pass if you needed to, if that's what was the next thing for you to need to experience to continue to evolve or what. There's no fear there because you faced yourself, and through challenging yourself. And I think at that point, then it's like there's no lack or like discontent inside you. So then breatharianism, I think, is just the natural state at that point. My dad worked in a nursing home pretty much his whole adult life. And he always said that people that were ready to die just stop eating and drinking. He said they'll just stop eating and drinking for like a week or two and then they'll go. Everybody, he said, that lived over 100, that all their family was dead, everybody grew up was dead, they all reach a point where they're just like, what do I need to eat and drink for? I'm done with this experience. There's nothing here that I need to ground myself to this experience anymore for. And so, it makes sense, that you would gradually throughout your life dabble in the experience of dry fasting and fasting, extended water fast and stuff like that, seeing just how much you need, how much you don't need, so that you can position yourself to be able to give more because you can see what you don't need, so you can actually see the abundance that you can create accurately. And because if you feel like if you're very needy, then just your judgment is poor if you're needy, because you're going to be in a compromised state, and so then your attraction is very poor, and so then you're going to be in a codependent situation, a lot of codependent situations, and then you're not going to be in a state of where you're going to be selflessly giving. You're going to be in a conditional codependent situation where everything is just feels painful. It feels like robotic and mechanical because you just focused on time. You're not really living. I was talking to a woman the other night about it. She was like talking about breaking up, and she was scared to break up, and she was like, I was like, well, you were living all your life before this point. Why don't you break up now? What's the problem? She was just like, yeah, but I wasn't alive. And I was like, yeah, it sounds cheesy and everything. I get it, but it's the truth. That like, yeah, like you really need to be alive. You know what I mean? Like breatharianism and fasting and all that shit. You're fasting so that you can gain the clarity to create. Like you're decluttering through the process, and through the process of creation, fasting's a byproduct more so of like just respecting creation. The more you respect creation, the more fasting just happens. It's not like you have to try to fast. So breatharianism is like more so like the default. I don't think you should be trying to be breatharian. I think you should just focus more on creation and then see where that takes you. Yeah, no, the breath is definitely the breath and digestion are synonymous. You know what I mean? If your breathing is poor, then your digestion will be poor. You're basically incinerating your food and turning it into a vapor. You heat up, you chew it to a liquid or whatever to break it down further from a liquid. You're processing it. You heat it up into where it's a vapor, and then you're processing the vapor. And the vapor is what stimulates your energy or invigorates your energy. It doesn't give you energy, reminds you of your energy. So, because the law of equal exchange, like every inhale gets exhaled. You eat the food, it reminds you of your energy, but it takes energy to process it. You're not gaining energy. There's no profit in eating. Especially if you're eating dense foods, man. That definitely makes you tired and need more sleep. Yeah, density has its perks in a sense. It's like, if you can only see the 3 dimensions, and that's your focus, and then you put all your chips on that, I mean, you can get things out of the three dimensions of the world. You know what I mean? That part of the light spectrum is home to you. You get things out of it, but you're not experiencing those other dimensions. So, the density and destiny get the same letters. You're blocking. If your focus is the 3 dimensions, then you're forfeiting those other dimensions of yourself. You have to guide a child with someone that's on the same page as you, or at least in the same book, same chapter, man. Yep. Do I ever find myself teaching so much I forget to apply the skills? It's my life. I really, at this point, I have no choice but to apply the skills, man. I don't have options. Once you fully commit to the life, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like if you go live off grid, you know what I'm saying? And that's your life, and your life is geared in that direction. You're not gonna just start paying the electric bill. You're not gonna well, let me get a fucking electric pole and start paying for this now. You're like, I'm just gonna maintenance my solar or my wind and my water turbine or whatever, however, your natural gas or biogas, whatever your ways to get energy. You're not gonna fucking want bills. You're not even gonna. I think at that point you will realize so much of your will that I don't even know if it's possible to go against your will at that point. There's no real unknowing. I think at that point, then you're going straight towards a fast type of suicide through like some type of calamity or accident. When you know something, a lot of, you've experienced your will and yourself enough, and then you try to forget that in order to get something out of the dense world, and you're trying to ignore your own will, I think at that point is when massive accidents happen, either to you or someone around you, to force you to recognize your place and your nature. But some people can ignore it a lot longer than others. What's my favorite book that I wrote? Where I feel like the creator, I feel his hand on my brain. When I write rhymes, I go blind and let the Lord do his thing. That a book that I wrote that was like that. I don't know, probably like some older shit like The Meantime or Spiritual Immunity or something. Or Lock Consciousness. I don't know. Nah, that was Tupac, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it goes too. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you say you teach yoga and now you're associated with money, so you forget that it's your life. I don't want to come down on nobody, you know what I mean? Especially people I care about. So I know people that teach breath work. And they forget their own breath, you know what I mean? Because they're just so focused on like teaching other people and getting the money, extracting the money out of it. And so it becomes performative more than like a practice that they have with themselves to experience themselves better or more fully, you know. And so it's sad to see, but I think I can see how it happens with anybody, you know what I mean? It's not like anybody's above it, so it's just, I think it's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Do you want people to retain the information and acknowledge it and implement it in their day-to-day and really get something out of it? So, you really stress, in order to do that, you really have to stress the importance of certain things and the whole process the process as a whole. The importance of the process, every part of it, and the basis for doing it. It's not to get money. It's not to get ahead in life. It's to be exactly where you are right now. Be present, be your whole self continuously through the process of letting go of your body. That's the point of getting in touch with the breath. Yeah, I feel like Lock Consciousness was a good book. I don't remember. I think it had like zero influence too. I think that's why I think that was a good one. Like sometimes like if I read a bunch of stuff, watch a bunch of videos, read a bunch of stuff, then there's going to be some outside influence on the writing. But I feel like I was just doing like just hella breath work and just being with myself, raising my puppies. And yeah, I think that's all I was doing at that time. Yeah. Let me see what else we got up here. Oh yeah, that's what I had said. Before realizing your will, everything before you realize your will is basically a simulation. It's basically essentially like starting Grand Theft Auto, somebody else's Grand Theft Auto file, and just being like, all right, I'm playing, this is your file, I'm going to play this shit right here from where you at. You're not from the beginning. You 17 missions deep, I'll just pick up from here. And that's pretty much what it's like when you go through birth trauma, unnatural birth trauma. Unnatural birth is a trauma. Massive trauma. Then birth trauma, circumcision, vaccines, indoctrination through schools and religion and parents, improper food, maybe lack of breast milk. You go through all of this shit. And physical traumas, sexual traumas, maybe emotional traumas, emotional abuse. you go through that shit, and you haven't realized your will yet, and so then like once you finally do, it's like almost like, oh shit, I just started this game. Somebody had been playing this game for me, and they the health is low. You know how like when you start Street Fighter, how you get 100 on your health. It's like the health is low. You got a 20 in the health here. We gotta get that. We gotta eat a bunch of. But in Street Fighter, they used to eat whole chickens, right, to get your fucking energy up, I think. But yeah, like you gotta eat shit or whatever, do whatever you gotta do to get your health back up, and you kind of can't really look back. It's like all like a simulation. It's all like files in the game where you're like, okay, this was the way I performed. I can't really dwell on it. It was just like my body was just kind of on autopilot. It was just programs were just running it. My will was not running it. It was not in the seat of power. So I can't really dwell on it. I can acknowledge the scars and figure out, the source of them through my triggers and through processing my emotional dysfunction through breath work, and just virtue in general. You know what I mean? Building, creating, just checking. That's all like a patience test. Every time you're trying to build something, it's like a virtue test. Like you're checking your temperature, your temperament. If you losing patience quickly, then you're heating up too fast. You're not really in homeostasis. You're not really at home inside yourself. So you got work to undo. But yeah, you regret having sex at an uninhabited state of being, like with non-creation intent, as you stated before, being that you were speaking on living 3D complete with the random broads and good calls. Yeah, I really would. I would like to be a virgin if I could go back. It would have took a lot of will. But I would. It's nothing I can really do. It's like spilled milk now. But I would suggest virginity as long as possible for anyone, male or female. No, I didn't listen to the new Jay Electronica. I can't tell you. He slid in my sister's DMs. I know that much. I never listened to Jay Electronica's best verses on the We Made It John, and other than that, I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I can't listen to that shit. You know what I mean? I just think a dude like that on his Muslim anything shit, sliding my sister's DMs and fucking with the bitches he's fucking with, I just be like, this is like typical, but like ill. You know what I mean? It's like, however, I do think he raps better than a lot of young dudes. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to hear that shit. Just like I don't want to live. Don't get me wrong. Like most dudes that debuted after fucking College Dropout, I don't want to hear that shit. Other than Nipsey, I don't want to hear that shit. Don't put that shit on. I'll turn that shit off. If I have any control over the speaker, I don't care if it's your car, you're going to have to not be my friend no more. You try to put some shit on around me from an artist that debuted after the College Dropout, bro, just leave me at home, yo. Don't invite me. You know what I mean? I listen to instrumentals in my spare time. Or Nas. Motherfuckers that debuted before 03. The Nipsey is the only exception. You know what I mean? And I think it's because I got on Nipsey early in like 08 when I first moved to Cali. And like I got exposed to him. And so he kind of always like was there. I was still young enough. When I was 18. I was still young enough to like not be impressed. I wasn't impressionable by rap. Rappers didn't impress me. I still experienced Nas and stuff at that point. But like I was young enough to be like, oh, okay. I had like enough space to let another rapper in. And Nipsey filled that space, and there's no more. Even in his death, that space is still filled. And yeah, that's how I feel, man. I don't listen to nobody. I don't listen to rap. To be real, in my spare time, you might catch me listening to anything shit. Yeah, Nas said that shit on his recent shit. He was like, no rap in my playlist. It's true. I don't listen to no fucking rap, bro. Unless it's Nas. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's some motherfucker that could time travel me back to the golden era. I'm not listening to that shit, bro. Like, if you're of a certain age or from a certain region in the country, that shit makes sense to you. You know what I mean? It's like a 17-year-old driving a Honda Civic that's like lowered and, you know what I mean, shit like that, and it got the exhaust that sound like a burp, like a baby, like a goat burp. You know what I mean? Like that. You allowed to drive that. I'm not allowed to drive that. You know what I mean? I'm not allowed to drive that shit. You know what I mean? I'm reached a certain age where I can't. I can only drive pickup trucks and like nice sedans. You know what I'm saying? I'm too old for that shit. You know what I mean? But like, when it comes to, I would drive a van though too. Though, don't get me wrong. But that's how I feel about rap though. You gotta be a certain age to listen to certain motherfuckers, or from a certain place. If you from like, well, he from like Louisiana, right, or something. If you from the South or something, you know, and that's your guy and he represents you, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm partial to East Coast rappers. That's why I give no West Coast rappers a chance. Really, I gave Nipsey a chance because he sound like Jay-Z in My Lifetime Volume 2. Like his whole career was like kind of like somewhere along that line, and you know, I grew up kind of liking that time of Jay-Z. Now I don't like, when I reflect on it, I'm like, damn, I really didn't like Volume 2. But that's neither here nor there, man. I just don't listen to rap in general, really. I got enough shit on my mind. I could just listen to instrumentals and listen to myself. I'll make a fucking song. I'll make a whole ass song before I fucking put some new rapper on, or anybody that debuted after Kanye. But don't get me wrong, I think people can rap good. I'm just not impressed by rap. It's not gonna move me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't listen to no fucking Kendrick Lamar. I know he can rap good. I know he's good at putting the words together. But that shit's not about to move me or impress me. I'm not young enough to be impressed by that. If a motherfucker came up to me playing a fucking accordion and singing and shit like that, I would be impressed by that. That's where I'm at now. I'm too old to be impressed by some guy talking over some instruments that he's not playing. It's not impressive. I can acknowledge that it's hard to break through in rap and to go on that grind of like doing shows and trying to be acknowledged in that world, how cringe that is. I can give motherfucker respect where it's due. I'm not going to listen to it though. You know what I mean? I'm like, word, respect. You deserve everything you get. You put the work in. Good for you. I'm not listening to that shit, but good for you. Yeah. It's kind of how I feel about anything. The Clips is amazing. The Clips debuted before College Dropout. I still won't listen to them. I'm still not listening to the motherfucking Malice and Pusha T, bro. I get, like, they sound like someone, their favorite rapper is my favorite rapper. It's like how Nas sounds like Rakim, you know what I'm saying? People from the 80s is like, this dude sounds like Rakim. Can't listen to Nas. They're from an age like that. And I get that. It makes sense. I can't listen to fucking Pusha T. Jay-Z happened already. Same reason I can't listen to fucking Fab. Or Fab, Fab has some songs that are okay, but I feel like I can't listen to a Fabulous album. You know what I mean? Like, Fabulous, Joe Budden. It's funny how, like, Joe Budden he's like a more conceptual rapper, but he still sounds like Hove. Pusha T is basically just sounding like Hove. It's like the same guy from Virginia, though. You know what I mean? I can't listen to that shit. Again, I can acknowledge that Pusha T is better than like every drill rapper alive right now. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong in that respect. You know what I mean? I just don't want to listen. He's not. Come on, man. It's like the same reason I can't listen to J. Cole. Common already happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it already happened, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this shit, The B album already happened. Finding Forever already happened. I'm not listening to fucking J. Cole. It's not happening. You can't make me. He sounds like Jay-Z too, his flow, but his content is just common. You know what I mean? And all these dudes really, all conscious rappers kind of sound like Common. You know what I mean? I'm not about to listen to them. You think I'm about to listen to who's another fucking what Chance the Rapper or fucking Logic or somebody like that? Like, bruh. Again, y'all can rap. Y'all can put these words together and shit, but I saw this movie, bro. It's like watching if somebody remade Goodfellas. Goodfellas, great movie, one of the greatest movies ever. If somebody made Goodfellas again, tried to redo that, I spit on that fucking movie. Not to say I spit on these rappers as individuals, but their music, I metaphorically spit on that shit. I'm not listening to that shit. You know what I mean? Come on. There's only one Goodfellas. There's only one Common. There's only one Hove. You know what I mean? Hove, if you're from the 80s, you'd be like, yo, this dude, Hove sounds like, not Coogee Rap. Big Daddy Kane. You know what I'm saying? I can see if you're like, I was a Kane fan, and so I can't like Jay-Z because I saw it already happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was new to me. I was young. It was new. You know what I mean? And then the sound was going from analog to digital, so it caught me at a certain time. My ear was trained for the East Coast. Everybody's trained for their region and the timing of the beats and everything. Everything gets trained. So, like, people their ear gets kind of homogenized. So I really don't even, I listen to instrumentals, man. You might catch me listening to some classical shit, bro. I listen to fucking Fleetwood Mac, though. I don't even like, that's bullshit too, but I'll listen to that before I listen to the Clips or some shit like, you know what I mean, J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar or something. But nah, I know you're not going to catch me listening to that either, but I was just saying, you'll catch me listening to instrumentals, some symphony, some Beethoven or some fucking anything. Indie electronica instrumentals or something. Some Odessa. I'm not listening to. I don't need more words. I don't need to bring more traffic of thought into here. Yeah, I listen to 89 Thieves though. Kyle from Brooklyn, he died, but he been spitting for decades. Underground, but true poet for short. Bro, it's mad dope. That's what I mean. There's mad good artists from NY. But think about it, right? Think about it. How many Nas's are there? And can there even be another Nas? Can you come from Queens right now and rap like kind of street, kind of like conscious and not be like associated with Nas and be like in that vein? You know what I'm saying? Can you even do that? No, because it's only one Nas. Everybody's gonna be like, you sound like Nas. It's disgusting. If he come from like Omaha, Nebraska, sounding like Nas, you can get away with that. You know? But there's like so many rappers coming out of every fucking place now, you know what I mean? It's like, and they all sound like somebody I've heard before. No disrespect to them, they might all be nice. You know? I mean, even Cormega got songs that I like, man. Cormega, I'd be like, damn, Cormega happened. A lot of young dudes is not as nice as Cormega, and Cormega is, I'm not checking for him. I think he's still torn. That's neither here nor there, man. Let me see. Yeah, all right. Let me get back on track here, man. Yeah, so I know y'all seen the shit from Keir Starmer, the digital ID in the UK. And a lot of people have said, like, we're not going to let that shit happen. You know what I mean? We everybody I know say they ain't going to get it. And a lot of motherfuckers said they wasn't going to get the shot. And a lot of the motherfuckers did get the shot. So a lot of people going to get the digital ID. In Vietnam, you have 101 million people in the country, which is more people than the UK. And 86 million of them said no, right, to the digital banking ID or whatever. And So basically, they just crop 15 million, 16 million people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all done in waves. You know, they did H1N1 in what 2010, 2011, and then they did the Ebola and all the other bullshit. Then they hit us with the COVID. Things is in an accelerated state, so more shit is coming. But I don't think they got 15 million people in one swoop. You'll probably get 10 to 15 million people in the UK that'll just submit. So then they'll create a crisis later on, make another 15 million submit, or 30 million, or whatever. But we all know that more crisis is coming. I think we all see how this shit is going. More crisis is coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll probably have another conflict with Iran before the year's over. They might bomb Afghanistan again. I mean, it's a tragedy too, man. The amount of destroyed artifacts in the Middle East since 1990 is disgusting. Is disgusting, man. Between Iraq, between Desert Storm, Syria, Afghanistan, the temples and all the things that got destroyed, all the monuments that got destroyed throughout these wars, that they're not, nobody's telling. They just think it's just camel jockeys. And there was beautiful structures there that represented another time, but of a different people, and that was not collateral damage, just part of the part of the onslaught. So, like I said, I think we're all looking at like, when is the next event going to happen, and I think a lot of people are going to be distracted by the assassination because it was supposed to distract. It was supposed to create this many conspiracies and da-da-da-da. Like, they could easily release 3 seconds more of the film and show the guy in prone position taking a shot, if that's what happened. But they choose not to. So obviously they want people to go through this process of focusing on it, asking all these questions, going through all these fucking lives and spaces and videos and shorts and developing these different conspiracy theories and all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? It was designed to distract. It was fear and distraction. You know what I mean? They always go together. And I think we're all being lulled to sleep. I mean, we can tap into it for a second, but I mean, that bitch Erica Kirk is fake. Everybody know that bitch is fake. That bitch must have not loved him, or that bitch was a honeypot planted there. And how much longer do we have to focus on this bitch or these people? You know what I mean? The guy they replaced him with, Hollandale or whatever the fuck, the little clone, whatever. Come on, man. This whole shit is designed to be exhausting. Like, to be a gaslighting, exhausting expedition. So, I think it's just to distract, They just sold TikTok to the richest man on earth, Larry Ellison. And that's basically like selling it to Israel. And I think that they're gonna bomb Iran again, because Iran won't let them inspect. They won't let the nuclear inspectors in the country, and they just officially broke from the nuclear deal recently, and they supposedly got another nuclear plant somewhere, and so they're probably gonna try to bomb Iran again or something. It's probably gonna be another conflict before the year's over, and yeah, I mean, this shit is crazy where it's at. You got all of the tiny hats saying that there's going to be an attack soon or imminent. So it's all showing itself, you know what I mean? It's all bullshit. And I have to stress that people need to have analog means of communication, I would get a fucking house phone if I could, man. I'm about to look into trying to get it. I don't think they got them no more up here. They used to have them, like, not that long ago. I had a friend that had dial-up up until, like, 2017 up here. But we need to have analog means of communication, you know, because analog is necessary. The digital is the luxury. You know what I mean? You can't have the digital without the analog, but you can have the analog without the digital. And so, you know, that's kind of where we're at, man. Where we need to really have other means of communication, because there's gonna be more sweeps as the social media landscape gets cornered by these people. There's gonna be more censorship sweeps. Like TikTok had a brief moment of free speech, and that is going away. So it's like Facebook and Instagram had to change their algorithm because X came along and opened up the space to where people were saying more, and there was a wider range of speech. So that forced those other platforms to have to compromise and adjust themselves so that they would maintain traffic, so that not too much traffic would go over to X. Now that TikTok is sealed off, all we have left is X, and who knows how long that is. We already know Elon. He went to the wall and everything. He went to Auschwitz and everything. So, I think, you look at the algorithm. If these people are only supposedly 2% of the world or 1% of the world, I shouldn't have this many of them in the feed, or this many people that support them in the feed. I should be in a wide range of motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Get some pro and some anti tiny hats, but then also a bunch of people that's just talking about fucking anything else within politics or within anything. But it's all polarized in that way, and it's only a matter of time, I think, for X buckles. So I was looking at I was like, man, like, how many times have I said this shit about the hoaxer cost, and talked about the Jays in my Facebook. I went back into the feed back to like 2007. I was like, damn, I've been saying this shit for fucking almost 20 years now. They're probably going to take my channel down with one simple search. This is over for me. Like, you know what I mean? So I got to keep as many outlets open as possible. So y'all should follow my backup account if they let me keep it at Do What Thou Will. Do what thou will, not thou. DAO. So yeah, that's what I see happening. I don't see shit getting any better in that regard. As far as communication and censorship is concerned, I don't see it getting any better. Of course, I would like it to, but it's not looking good. And if they're introducing a digital ID without any real event, they're just saying like, oh, look, you guys don't like illegal immigration. I said this shit years ago, though. I was like, yeah, they're going to let mad people in the country, and then the border will be digital. It don't matter if you're here physically. If you can't access, digitally, if you don't have a digital ID, then you're basically not a citizen of the digital. It's like Facebook got 4 billion users. It's bigger than any country, basically. It has 4 billion citizens digitally, basically. So you gotta look at it like that. Like, that's the border. Your ability to access the internet is your border, and to access your banking. And it's only really a matter of time before it just becomes more and more invasive. Just to have a bank account, just to communicate with your family, to where you're just going to want to be with them. It's just, I'd rather have the analog. I'd rather wake my mom up physically. Talk to my mom actually. Or write her a letter. It would all be more meaningful, but ultimately, if I could actually be in the room with her, it'd be better. And I feel like they're just trying to interfere with that as much as possible. Because if they're talking about getting rid of your passport if you criticize Israel, and you need a fucking passport to fly from state to state now, they're making your travel very expensive. You have to drive across the country. every time you want to see somebody, or they're going to have to come to you. This is just crazy, man. But let me see what I got. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm probably in a lot of the same spaces as y'all. I was looking into assassinations, and obviously I looked into the McKinley assassination in 1901 in Buffalo at the Buffalo World's Fair. And so then I looked into the Buffalo, everything at the Buffalo World's Fair. It just looks crazy. Makes no sense. And then that sent me down a rabbit hole of like the World Fair that happened in Charleston, South Carolina. The buildings there make no sense. Makes no sense. So, and then they'd be like, these were temporary structures that were made of wood and steel. I'm like, isn't it everything made out of wood and steel now? Are they temporary structures? Doesn't make sense, man. Yeah, I think that's about it for today, man. Unless you guys got questions. Oh yeah, how funny is that they said that guy committed that assassination in motherfucking Chucks, bro? Who's doing that though? Who's getting that off? Who's like, yo, I'm gonna plan to run in these Chucks and jump off a 2-story building. Yo, your ankles will come through your fucking neck, bro. You trying to jump off a 2-story building with some Chucks and a gun barrel of a long arm in your pant leg, and you're jumping down on some Chucks? You better be Dr. J, bro. Ain't nobody else. No one else is getting that off. You're not assassinating and then sprinting and jumping off a 2-story building in some Chucks. I mean, come on. He said he wasn't even there. He said he'd never been to the campus. His parents said he was never there. You know what I mean? Now they saying he's on suicide watch. If he gets suicided, bro, that's bad. That's bad for business. But everybody's on the same shit, man. I try, I do my best to focus on anything else I can and learn anything else I can. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad I got some projects I'm doing right now. Because otherwise I'll just be, what? If I'm consuming media right now, it's all about September 10th. Snake Eyes and shit like that. And it's like, I'm going to go back and watch a bum-ass Nicolas Cage movie. So I'm like, look at the connections. My bro, you could have read a whole ass book of the Bible in this amount of time. I think people got to start looking at things. They're monetizing things. I think you should like bookatize everything. Like, man, in that amount of time, I could have read Joshua. I could have read Judges 1 and 2 in this amount of time. Ukraine had the lowest vax rate. I mean, you got to look at it like this. Black America is 44 million people. And I think it was like 12% got the vax or something like that. How many people is in Ukraine? Like 40-something million, right? If you look at America, like those are, you know what I mean? If you look at America as the real America, that's 44 million people. That's the real Americans. If only like 12% of them got, let me get this shit straight right now. Let me get this straight. How many, let me ask the bitch ass AI, what percentage let's see. That's crazy. And when I was last looking at it, it was like, I thought it was a lower rate. They said 78% of black adults got at least one dose. I don't believe that, though. I feel like everybody I know that didn't was black. It's 80% of Ukraine. As of October 2023, they said the Ukraine had administered approximately 80 COVID vaccines per 100 people. 45% completed the full vaccination course. How many is that? Like 6 jabs? 71% of all adults got at least one dose. I don't know, man. Again, you got to think about it too. Like, I know people that got fake vaccine cards. So how many of those stats are crazy, man? Liars figure and figures lie. That's crazy. Yeah, man. Everybody that talks about breath work, a lot of them sound like me, bro. You know, it is what it is, man. I'm sorry to say, but I'm sorry I'm not sorry. A lot of motherfuckers that talk about breath work, they sound like me. They're following in the footsteps that I left. You know what I mean? And I'm following in the footsteps of people like Ryan Efraim. But I feel like I veered off into another space, even from where he went with it, because he still stayed Pan-African somehow after all these fucking years. So I feel like at some point he got too mental. I don't think he used to always say don't do more than 15 minutes in a session. And I just don't agree with that. You know what I mean? From my personal experience. And I've heard people say, like, don't do locks and bandhas. And I just don't agree with that either in my personal experience. Like, just from seeing performance. As far as presence and performance, you know what I mean? My sexual performance, my athletic performance, my ability to eat less and do more. The more I can get out of less calories, basically, is what I'm saying. And just cognitive performance. I mean, it's just better. It's significantly better. As soon as I do at least like 15 minutes, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice, cool little session. I can feel the changes in 15 minutes with the locks and the bandhas. If I just did 15 minutes of like breathing with no resistance, like no locks or bandhas, I think I'd probably just fall asleep, to be real with you. But I mean, you see babies all the time. They breathe and clench, breathe and clench, breathe and clench. They breathe and press on that, because that's really the only thing they can control is the breath. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to control what you can. And if you're not self-sabotaging, you're definitely going to control what you can. You get older and then you stop controlling the shit that you have the ability to control because you conceded and you're self-sabotaging and yeah, you made concessions. So, I mean, anything that's less adulterated is going to control every single thing that it can. You know, it's like, oh, I have these levers of power. I'm going to use these bitches. I can use this arm. I can roll over. I can crawl. I can walk. I can run. You know, all you can do at one point is just breathe. You can't really do shit. Breathe and cry. You know, that's the only thing you have will over, really. So a baby will take advantage of everything they can control if they're not too traumatized. Even if they are traumatized, they'll still do it, but just not to the full capacity. Yeah, I be having, I drink distilled water is H2O. Every other form of water is OH. And then fruit juices, coconut water, you know, distilled water with lemon juice in it and stuff like that. That's H3O. So I have H2O and H3O. I still drink distilled water sometimes, man. Like, and if I make a smoothie, I use distilled water, you know. So, yeah. All right, y'all. This will be on my Patreon. I don't know if the last video that I just did with Farrell, I was trying to check for it, you know, because like it wouldn't let me share it immediately for whatever reason. So then Yeah, distilled is the only H2O because it's just is simply just water. There's nothing else in the structure. You know what I mean? You're distilling everything out. But yeah, nah, so like it didn't let me share that video immediately. It's in my archive, but then I went to it to try to save it and it said like video is processing. And I need to go get it right now and make sure it didn't delete the audio because they've done that to me a couple times now. And I just don't want to lose it. So yeah, I guess I could upload the videos on the X. I'll look into it. Yeah. Do you mean like the lives? Should we do them live or upload them onto X? Anyway, yeah. Have a good night, everybody. Appreciate you. And patreon.com/Taylor Durden for this. It'll be up there. It's $5 a month. I hope Theo Von don't murk herself. Just a last sentiment of the night. Peace.